Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Without Limit. I'm Julia, your host, and I'm so happy you're here today. If this is your first time listening, this podcast is all about helping you improve your English in ways that feel natural, practical, and connected to real life. I want every episode to give you not just new words and phrases, but also useful stories and strategies that you can apply immediately. Now, today's topic is something we all do almost every week. It's about shopping for groceries and managing your weekly budget. Grocery shopping may sound simple, but it's actually a wonderful way to practice English because you're using this language in real situations. You're asking questions, checking products, and talking to people. And at the same time, you're also making decisions about money, planning, and organization. Let me start with a little story. Last week, I went to my local supermarket to buy groceries for the week. I had my list with me because, yes, I am definitely a list person. I like to plan ahead before going to the store. On my list, I had vegetables like carrots, potatoes, and spinach. I also wrote down fruits like apples and bananas. And of course, I added a few dairy products like milk and yogurt. Making a list is so important because it keeps you focused and helps prevent those unnecessary, random purchases that can add up very quickly. When I walked into the store, I noticed something interesting. There were special discounts on some products. For example, a bag of rice was 20% off, and a pack of pasta had a buy one, get one free offer. Now, these offers can definitely help you save money, but there's also a little danger here. Sometimes we buy things only because they're on sale, even if we don't really need them. I used to do that a lot in the past, but now I try to stick to my list and focus only on what I actually need. While I was picking vegetables, I noticed a man standing next to me. His name was Daniel, and he was examining tomatoes very carefully. I smiled and asked him, "Are you looking for the best ones?" He laughed and said, "Yes, I always check the color and the texture before buying tomatoes. My wife likes fresh ones for cooking." We ended up chatting for a few minutes, and he gave me such a useful tip. He told me, "If the tomato is too soft, it won't last long. Choose the firm ones, and they'll stay fresh for at least 4 days." That was really helpful because, honestly, I usually just grab whatever looks okay without thinking too much. After that, I went to the dairy section. I needed milk and yogurt. There were so many brands, and it made me stop and think, how do we actually choose the best product? That's when I remembered another useful strategy. Compare both price and quality. Sometimes the cheapest option isn't the healthiest, and the most expensive option isn't always necessary either. So I checked the labels carefully. One yogurt brand had less sugar and more protein. That sounded like a better choice for me, even though it was a little more expensive than the others. I decided to go with that one. When I finished shopping, I looked back at my list. I had almost everything, but I realized I had forgotten eggs. So I went back to get them. This is exactly why making a list is so useful. Without it, you might miss something important and have to make another trip later. At the checkout counter, I noticed something else. The cashier asked me if I wanted to use a loyalty card. You know those cards that give you points every time you shop? Later, you can use those points for discounts. It's a clever way to save money in the long run, especially if you often shop at the same store. Before I left, I checked my receipt carefully. I always do this because sometimes the price on the receipt doesn't match the price on the shelf. It's happened to me before, and I ended up paying more than I should have. Checking your receipt is such an important habit, and it can save you from little mistakes that cost extra money. That whole experience reminded me that shopping is not just about buying food. It's about planning, comparing, checking details, and making smart choices with your money. These are skills that go beyond the supermarket. They're life skills. Now, since this is English without limit, let's practice some useful phrases you can use while shopping. For example, if you need help, you can say, "Excuse me, where can I find fresh vegetables? Could you tell me where the dairy section is?" At the checkout, if you want to pay by card, you can say, "I'd like to pay by card, please." And if you're not sure about a price, try asking, "Is this item on sale? Could you check the price for me?" These are very natural, everyday phrases that can make your shopping experience smoother and more confident. Let me share one more story before we wrap up this section. A few months ago, I tried online grocery shopping for the first time. I used an app, placed my order, and waited for delivery. It was definitely convenient, but I noticed something. The vegetables they delivered weren't as fresh as the ones I would normally pick myself. And sometimes they sent items that were very close to their expiration date. So, while online shopping saves time, going to the store allows you to choose exactly what you want. Each method has pros and cons, and it really depends on what works best for you. After leaving the supermarket that day, I started thinking about how shopping habits can be so different from person to person. For example, my neighbor, Mr. Wilson, prefers to shop twice a week. He says this helps him buy fresher items and avoid wasting food. He told me that when he used to buy too much at once, some vegetables spoiled before he had the chance to cook them. Now he buys smaller amounts more often, and it works better for his family. That made me reflect on my own routine. I usually shop once a week because I like planning meals ahead of time, but I can see how his method also makes a lot of sense. I also thought of my friend Sarah. I once visited her house and I noticed how carefully she and her husband check nutritional labels. They always look for products low in sugar and high in fiber because they want to keep their children healthy. Sarah showed me how she prepares her shopping list. It always includes whole grains, lean meat, fresh vegetables, and seasonal fruits. By sticking to this plan, she saves both time and money. And importantly, she avoids buying random snacks or unhealthy foods that no one really needs. Welcome back to English Without Limit. I'm Julia, your host, and today I'm going to take you through another real-life topic that connects directly to our daily routines, shopping for groceries. But this time, we'll go a little deeper. I'll share real situations, practical tips, useful expressions, and even some mistakes people often make. All of this will not only help you improve your English, but also help you become a smarter shopper. Let me begin with a real situation that happened last winter. I was at a small local market, not a big supermarket, just a cozy local place. It was a rainy afternoon and the market wasn't very crowded. That's where I met an elderly man named Mr. Harris. He was buying honey and fresh bread. I asked him, "Do you always shop here?" And he replied, "Yes, I like supporting local sellers. Their products are fresh and often cheaper than in big stores." He went on to explain that by buying from local farmers, he feels more connected to the community, and he knows exactly where his food comes from. That short conversation taught me something valuable. Sometimes the best quality doesn't come from large supermarkets with bright lights and endless shelves. Sometimes it's the small local markets that give us the freshest, most authentic products. Another important lesson I learned while shopping is about checking expiration dates. A few months ago, I bought a pack of cheese without looking at the date. When I opened it at home, I realized it was already close to expiring. I managed to use it in time, but I learned my lesson. Always check dates before paying. My friend James had a similar experience. He once bought a large pack of milk because it was on discount. Later, he discovered that the discount was there because the milk was only good for 2 more days. He couldn't finish it all, and half of it went to waste. Now, he always checks the date first and then decides how much to buy. A small step, but it makes a big difference. Timing also matters when you shop. Some people prefer mornings because fresh products are usually delivered early. My cousin, Emma, works in a bakery, and she told me that the freshest bread is ready by 8 a.m. If you come in the evening, you'll still find bread, but it won't be as soft and warm as it is in the morning. On the other hand, some people like shopping in the evening. Why? Because that's when stores often reduce prices on items that didn't sell during the day. For example, after 7 p.m., some shops give discounts on fresh salads or cooked food so they don't have to throw them away. Now let's practice some useful expressions you can use during shopping. If you want to know if something is fresh, you can ask, "How fresh are these vegetables?" "When was this bread baked?" If you're buying meat, you might ask, "Is this chicken fresh or frozen?" And if you want a smaller amount, you could say, "Could you give me half a kilo of this, please? I only need a small pack." These simple, polite questions make your conversations with shop assistants smoother and more effective. A few weeks ago, I also tried a new method for saving money. My wife and I created a weekly meal plan. On Sunday evening, we sat together and wrote down meals for each day. Pasta on Monday, vegetable soup on Tuesday, chicken with rice on Wednesday, and so on. Then we only bought the ingredients we needed for those meals. It really reduced food waste in our house. Before that, we often bought random things, and by the end of the week, half of them were still sitting in the fridge. Meal planning helped us become more organized and save money at the same time. Something else that has become a habit for many people is bringing reusable bags. I used to forget mine almost every time and had to buy plastic bags at the store. But my friend Lisa reminded me how important it is to reduce plastic waste. Now I keep 2 reusable bags in my car. They're strong, washable, and easy to carry. Let me also share an experience from a crowded supermarket just before New Year's. The store was completely packed. Everyone was buying things at the last moment. The lines were long, and some people were even arguing over the last packs of certain products. That day, I realized how important it is to shop early when a big holiday is coming. If you prepare a few days ahead, you'll have more choices, less stress, and you'll avoid the rush.
Another smart strategy is comparing prices. Last month, I needed to buy rice. In the first store, the price was quite high. I checked another shop across the street, and the same brand was cheaper there. Over time, checking prices in at least two places can save you a lot of money. My Uncle Samuel even keeps a small notebook where he writes down prices of common items like rice, flour, or oil. He says it helps him remember where to shop next time. Let's talk about bulk buying. Some families buy in large quantities because the price per unit is lower. For example, a big pack of soap or a large bottle of cooking oil is often cheaper than buying many small ones. But this only works if you actually use everything before it expires. My neighbor Laura once bought a huge pack of snacks for her children because it was on sale. After 2 weeks, the kids were bored and the rest went to waste. So yes, buying in bulk can save money, but only when you're sure you'll use it all. Here's another interesting point. The way supermarkets arrange items on shelves. Did you know that expensive or popular products are often placed at eye level? Stores do this because they know most people will pick what they see first. But sometimes, if you look at the top or bottom shelves, you'll find the same product at a better price. I once noticed this with olive oil. The expensive bottles were right in the middle, but a cheaper one of the same quality was hiding on the lower shelf. Another tip I've learned is about paying with cash instead of a card. My friend Peter told me that when he uses a card, he spends more because it feels easy to swipe and pay. But when he carries only a certain amount of cash, he becomes more careful about what he buys. This may not work for everyone, but it's a good method if you're trying to control your spending. And of course, storing groceries properly is just as important as buying them. I once bought fresh herbs like coriander and parsley and left them in the bag on the kitchen counter. By the next day, they were already dry. Then my aunt taught me a trick. Put them in a glass of water, like flowers. That way, they stay fresh for almost a week. Some families also like to prepare a monthly food budget. For example, my cousin David and his wife set a fixed amount of money for groceries. They write it down on a whiteboard in the kitchen, and each time they shop, they subtract the cost. Before they started doing this, they often ran out of money before the end of the month. Now they can control their spending much better, while still eating healthy meals. Another great idea is seasonal shopping. Some fruits and vegetables are cheaper and taste better when they're in season. For example, in summer, watermelons and mangoes are everywhere and very affordable. In winter, apples and oranges are usually fresher and cheaper. Last spring, I bought strawberries during their season and they were so sweet, fresh, and inexpensive. Buying seasonal products is not only smart for your wallet, but also delicious. Some people also use shopping as a chance to teach their children life skills. My brother Michael takes his daughter to the grocery store every weekend. He shows her how to read labels, how to check prices, and how to choose fresh vegetables. One day, she even told him not to buy a pack of biscuits because it had too much sugar. That made him laugh and proud because she was already learning to make healthy choices. There's also a growing trend of buying directly from farmers. Last autumn, I went to a weekend farmers market with my wife. It was in an open field near town. We found fresh eggs, homemade cheese, and organic vegetables. The farmer, Mrs. Clark, even explained how she grows her produce without chemicals. She gave us the recipe for a simple vegetable soup. That day, I realized that buying directly from farmers is not only good for your health, but also supports small businesses in your community. One mistake I've made, and maybe you have too, is shopping when hungry. It's dangerous. I once went shopping after work on an empty stomach. I ended up buying chips, cookies, and sweets, but almost no real food for dinner. Since then, I always eat a small meal or at least a fruit before shopping. It keeps me focused and helps me make better choices. Storage space at home is also something to think about. My neighbor Karen once bought a huge bag of rice because it was on sale, but she didn't have a proper place to store it. Her kitchen was humid, and after a few weeks, the rice spoiled. Now she buys smaller packs that fit in airtight containers. Polite communication with shopkeepers can also make your shopping experience nicer. In small stores, even a simple "Good morning, how are you today?" can create a friendly atmosphere. My friend Robert always chats with the fruit seller near his home, and sometimes the seller even gives him a small discount or a free extra fruit. A little kindness goes a long way. Another lesson I learned was about shopping during bad weather. Last rainy season, there were 3 days of heavy rain. Roads were blocked, and I hadn't planned ahead. I ran out of food and had to go out in the storm just to buy bread and milk. Since then, I always keep a few essentials like rice, lentils, and dry food at home, just in case. Many families also share shopping responsibilities. My friend Henry and his wife take turns. One week he shops, the next week she does. They also keep notes about what's running low at home. It's a simple but effective system for a busy household. Another part of shopping is trying new products. Sometimes supermarkets offer free samples. That's how I discovered a new type of whole grain bread last spring. It became one of my regular buys. But my friend Sophie always reminds me to try new things in small amounts first. Once she bought a huge jar of sauce without tasting it, and nobody liked it. Lesson learned: sample first, buy big later. Keeping receipts is also important. A few months ago, I bought a bag of rice that was damaged inside. Luckily, I still had the receipt and the store replaced it. Without it, they couldn't have helped me. My father always keeps grocery receipts for at least a week, just in case. Some people even prepare lists with estimated prices. My Aunt Grace does this. She writes the expected price next to each item. After shopping, she compares it with the total. If it's higher than planned, she checks what extra she bought. This helps her control her spending.
And finally, let's not forget the freezer. Freezing is such a practical way to save money and reduce waste. I once bought too much chicken on discount, so I divided it into portions and froze it. For the next 2 weeks, I had ready-to-use meals. Freezers really are one of the best tools for smart shopping. One more situation I want to share is about shopping with elderly family members. My grandmother enjoys going to the market, but she walks slowly and gets tired easily. Last spring, I started taking her with me on Sunday mornings. We go early when it isn't crowded. She chooses the vegetables herself, and I carry the bags. It's not only shopping, it's also quality time together. There's also the simple habit of reviewing what you already have at home before shopping. Many people, including me, sometimes forget this and end up buying things they already have. One time, I bought 2 big packs of sugar because I thought it was finished. But later, I found another pack in the back of the cupboard. Since then, I always check my shelves before making a list. It saves money and it avoids waste. And now, let me share some useful phrases you can use when you go shopping in English. Try to say them out loud with me. Could you weigh this for me, please? Very handy when you're buying fruits or vegetables. Do you have a smaller pack? Useful when the one you see is just too big. Can you give me a fresh one from the back? A polite way to ask if the items in front don't look very fresh. These small sentences can make you sound much more confident when shopping. Another important part of shopping is checking the weight of the products. One day I bought a pack of apples that looked big from the outside, but when I got home and weighed them, they were much lighter than expected because the packaging was very thick. Since then, I always check both the weight and the price per kilogram. My colleague Daniel told me something similar. He always reads the label where it shows price per kilo or price per 100 grams, because that's the real cost, not just the big number on the pack. This helps him decide which product is actually cheaper. Shopping also changes depending on where you live. In small towns, people often know the shopkeepers personally, and they sometimes get special advice, or even little gifts, like a handful of herbs or a free piece of fruit. In big cities, shopping is usually faster and more anonymous. You take their items, you pay, and you leave. I remember when I visited my uncle in a small village last year. I went shopping with him in a tiny store. The owner even recommended a recipe for fresh fish and gave us a few lemons for free because we were new customers. That warm and friendly atmosphere is something I don't often see in large supermarkets. Planning for unexpected guests is another reason people shop more carefully. My friend Oliver once shared his routine with me. He keeps extra tea, sugar, biscuits, and rice in his cupboard all the time. One evening, his cousins came to visit without notice. Because he had those basic items, he could prepare dinner without rushing to the store. This habit of keeping a small backup supply can be very helpful, especially for families who often get visitors. Shopping while traveling is another experience. A few months ago, I went on a short trip to another city. I had to buy some basic groceries for my hotel room because eating in restaurants every day was too expensive. I visited a local store, and it was very different from the ones in my hometown. The bread was shaped differently. The vegetables were arranged in baskets, and the cashier even gave me a cloth bag instead of plastic. That moment made me realize that shopping is not only about buying food, it's also about learning local customs and habits. My neighbor, Mr. Cooper, also once told me a story about shopping smarter. He used to buy big bottles of juice because they were cheaper in large size, but his family couldn't finish them before they expired. Now he buys smaller bottles, even if they cost a little more per liter, because nothing goes to waste. His lesson was clear. It's better to buy exactly what you need than to throw food or drinks away later.
Sometimes shopping becomes easier with small tools. For example, my wife often takes a calculator when she goes to large stores. She adds the prices as she puts items into the trolley. This way, there are no surprises at the cashier. One time, she even avoided overspending because she saw the total was getting too close to the budget. She simply removed some unnecessary snacks before paying. Some people also join community buying groups. My colleague Rachel is part of such a group. They order things together online, like rice, beans, and cooking oil, and then they share them among the families. This helps them get lower prices without buying too much individually. Rachel says it also builds teamwork because they help each other with delivery and storage. Now let me share something I learned the hard way. One Saturday, I delayed shopping until late evening. When I reached the supermarket,
Many shelves were already empty because it was close to closing time. Since then, I always try to shop earlier in the day, especially before weekends or holidays. Another sweet little story comes from my friend Ethan. He loves fresh bread every morning. He found a bakery that allows him to pre-order bread for the next day. He calls them in the evening, and the bread is ready early in the morning. It saves him time and it guarantees freshness. Maybe you can ask your favorite local store if they have a similar service. Smart shopping also includes handling mistakes politely. A few months ago, I was charged for an item I didn't buy. I calmly showed the receipt to the cashier and explained the mistake. She apologized and refunded the money right away. Staying calm and polite always works better than getting angry. My friend Clara also had a story. She once found an extra item in her bag by mistake, and she returned it the next day. The shop staff really appreciated her honesty, and they even gave her a small discount for her next purchase. Some people plan shopping around weekly discounts. My Uncle Edward does this. Every Friday evening, he reads the store flyers and writes down what will be on sale the coming week. Then he plans his meals around those offers. This helps him save a lot of money each month because he buys only what is cheaper that week. Choosing the right pack size for your household is another skill. My friend Helen, who lives with her husband and 2 children, buys medium-sized packs of food. Small packs finish too quickly, but large packs take up too much space. She once tried buying a huge pack of cereal, but it stayed open for too long and lost freshness. Now she always checks how much they really consume before choosing the size. Water is another thing people sometimes forget. My neighbor Paul reminded me of this. He always includes bottled water or filters in his shopping plan, especially during hot summer days. Once he forgot to buy enough drinking water during a very warm week, and he had to go out late at night to get some. Since then, he's been much more careful. Organizing your shopping list can also save you time. My sister Laura groups similar items together. She writes all dairy products in one section, all vegetables in another, all cleaning supplies in another. This way, she doesn't have to walk back and forth across the store. Online shopping can also be smarter if you compare prices. One day, I needed to buy cooking oil. I checked 3 different online stores before ordering. The same brand had 3 different prices, and one store even offered free delivery. Spending just a few minutes comparing saved me both money and time. Shopping can also become a family activity. My friend William makes it into a small weekend outing with his wife and 2 children. They go shopping, then stop at a park on the way back. The kids help choose fruits and vegetables, and they learn about healthy eating. William says it makes shopping less boring and more meaningful. Even the environment inside stores influences us. Some use bright lights to make food look fresher, while others use calm lighting and slow background music to keep you inside longer. Once I read about this, I started paying attention. It's fascinating how the environment affects our shopping behavior, often without us realizing it. Another important habit is to check the bottom of your fridge or pantry after shopping. My neighbor Diana once found a pack of yogurt hidden behind a jar of pickles 2 weeks after she bought it. And don't forget to check for damaged packaging. I once bought a box of biscuits that looked fine from the front, but there was a tear at the back. The biscuits were already soft, not fresh. Since then, I always look at all sides of a package. My friend Caroline even checks for dents in cans, because if a can is damaged, it might not be safe to eat what's inside. Finally, some families create shopping schedules based on paydays. For example, my neighbor Thomas and his wife do their big shopping right after they receive their salary. They buy all the main items: rice, flour, oil, and cleaning supplies
in one visit. Then they only buy fresh fruits and vegetables every few days. This way, they manage their money better, handling the biggest expenses first and then taking care of the smaller needs later. Welcome back to the English Without Limit podcast. If you are new here, this channel is all about helping you improve your English every single day. Today, we are going to continue talking about shopping and managing your weekly budget, but I want to focus on learning from experiences and making smart choices in everyday life. A few months ago, I bought a large jar of pickles just because it was on sale. At first, I was happy with the discount, but then I realized that no one in my house really likes pickles that much. It stayed in the fridge for months and finally had to be thrown away. Now, before I buy something in bulk, I ask myself, do we really use this often? If the answer is no, I leave it on the shelf. Another useful tip is to shop when the store is less busy. My colleague Susan always goes shopping early in the morning or late at night when the store is quiet. She says it saves her time and makes the whole process calmer. I tried this once on a weekday evening, and it was true. There were fewer people, no long lines at the cashier, and I could choose items more carefully without feeling rushed. Let me share an experience about buying fresh fish. A few weeks ago, I went to the market with my uncle. He showed me how to check if a fish is fresh by looking at its eyes and gills. Bright, clear eyes and red gills usually mean the fish is fresh. Dull eyes and brown gills mean it is not. I had never paid attention to this before, but now it helps me choose better quality fish for my family. Some people like to use coupons for shopping. My friend Rebecca collects coupons from newspapers and online stores. She keeps them in a small folder. Once she saved almost 15% on her monthly shopping just by using coupons. She told me it is not about being cheap. It is about being smart and using what is available to save money. There is also the topic of returning or exchanging items. Last month, I bought a pack of flour that had a strange smell. I went back to the store with the receipt, and they replaced it without any problem. Many people feel shy about returning items, but most stores have a return policy, especially for damaged or expired products. Knowing your rights as a customer is important. Some families write down the location of their favorite stores and compare which one is better for each item. My friend Patrick buys vegetables from the farmer's market, cleaning products from a big supermarket, and rice from a wholesale shop. It may seem like extra work, but he says this method gives him the best prices and quality without wasting money. One more thing to think about is planning shopping around cooking habits. My cousin Sophia cooks fresh food every day, so she shops often but buys in small amounts. My Aunt Linda cooks twice a week in large portions and stores the food in containers. She does one big shopping trip every weekend. Both methods work, but each family chooses what fits their routine.
Sometimes shops change the place of items to encourage people to buy more. Last summer, the store near my home moved the bread section from the front to the very back. This made everyone walk through the whole shop and see other things before reaching the bread. I noticed I was picking extra snacks on the way. Since then, I tried to focus only on my list and avoid unnecessary stops in the aisles. There is also the habit of cleaning the fridge before shopping. My wife always says, empty and clean the fridge first, then shop. This helps us know what we really need and makes space for fresh items. One time we bought new vegetables but had no place to keep them because the fridge was full of old containers and half-used sauces. Cleaning first saved us from that problem later. Another interesting method is checking the expiry dates of items already at home before going shopping. My brother Samuel checks all his canned goods and dry items once a month. If something is close to the expiry date, he plans a meal around it so that nothing goes to waste. This also helps him write a better shopping list. Some people bring a small notebook to write what they need during the week. My colleague Irene writes every time something finishes at home. On shopping day, her list is already ready. She says this method is better than sitting down at the last minute and trying to remember everything. Let me tell you about an experience with a store membership. A few weeks ago, I joined a membership program at a local supermarket. They gave me a card that collects points each time I shop. After 1 month, I had enough points for a small discount. My friend Andrew has been using such a card for years, and he says sometimes he gets free items just by collecting points over time. There is also the question of buying branded items or generic ones. My Aunt Maria prefers to buy the store's own brand for basic things like sugar, salt, and flour, because they are cheaper and almost the same in quality as the expensive brands. However, for products like baby food or olive oil, she buys a trusted brand because she wants to be sure about safety and taste. Another habit that makes shopping easier is keeping a small emergency fund for unexpected needs. My neighbor George once needed to buy extra groceries when his relatives came to stay for a few days. Because he had a little extra money saved for emergencies, it did not disturb his monthly budget. Sometimes shopping becomes more enjoyable if you wear comfortable clothes and shoes. It may sound simple, but once I wore formal shoes and had to walk around a big store for more than an hour, my feet were very tired and I rushed through the list just to leave quickly. Now I always wear comfortable shoes when I know I have a long shopping trip ahead. One more story I want to share is about asking for help from store staff. A few months ago, I could not find a type of rice I usually buy. Instead of searching every aisle, I asked an employee politely, "Could you tell me where I can find the basmati rice?" He guided me directly to the correct shelf. This saved me time and effort. If you are learning English, here are more useful phrases for shopping. Is there a discount on this item when you want to check a price? Do you have this in a bigger size if the pack is too small? Could you give me a paper bag instead of plastic if you want an alternative? Simple questions like these make your communication clearer and more natural. Let us continue this journey together and keep making your English skills stronger and smoother. Now, let me share a few more real situations that will help you connect English to your daily life easily. Imagine this. You wake up early in the morning and decide to go outside for a short walk before breakfast. The sun is soft, the air is fresh, and you see your neighbor walking their dog. You greet them by saying, "Good morning, how are you today?" They reply, "I am doing well, thank you. How about you?" You answer, "I am fine, just enjoying the fresh air before starting my day." This simple interaction is polite, and it also builds a habit of speaking English naturally. Now, picture another moment. You go to the grocery store to buy some fruits and vegetables. You look around and see many different options: apples, bananas, oranges, and fresh greens. The shopkeeper asks, "Can I help you find something?" You say, "Yes, please. Can I have 1 kilogram of apples and half a kilogram of bananas?" After receiving them, you thank the shopkeeper. "Thank you very much. How much is it in total?" They tell you the price and you pay.
This is a normal conversation you can practice each time you shop. The more you say these sentences, the more natural they become. Let us move to a different part of the day, lunch trim. You are at home feeling a bit hungry and decide to cook something simple. You take some rice, vegetables, and spices from the kitchen. While cooking, you can practice speaking English in your mind or out loud. For example, now I am washing the rice. After that, I will cut the vegetables. Then I will fry them with some oil and salt. Talking to yourself in English like this helps your brain connect actions with words. It's one of the easiest ways to practice every day without needing anyone else. Later in the day, you might get a message from a friend asking you to join them for tea or coffee. You reply, "Sure, what time shall we meet?" They say, "Let us meet at 5 p.m. in the café near the park." You agree. "Perfect. See you there." When you meet, you greet them. "Hi, it's nice to see you again. How has your day been so far?" They tell you about their work or studies, and you listen carefully. Listening is as important as speaking. Try to ask small questions to continue the conversation naturally. In the evening, you might decide to do some exercise at home, some stretching, push-ups, or a bit of dancing. While doing this, you can again practice English sentences related to what you are doing, like, "I am warming up my body. I will now do 10 push-ups. After that, I will take a short break." This habit makes your mind think in English step by step. It's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. As the night comes, you prepare your dinner, watch a small video, or listen to a podcast like this one. You can reflect on your day in English. Today was a good day. I woke up early, went for a walk, bought fruits, cooked lunch, and met my friend. I'm happy with what I did today. Saying such sentences daily makes you more comfortable with expressing your thoughts in English. Another small but powerful method is reading signs, labels, or advertisements in English around you. For example, when you see a label that says "keep refrigerated," think, "That means I should keep it in the fridge." Or when you see "best before 10th September," say, "This product is good to use until that date." These small connections help you build vocabulary naturally. Let me share a quick story. Once I went to a bookstore to buy a notebook. I saw a big sign saying, "Buy one, get one free." I was curious, so I asked the cashier, "Does this offer include all the notebooks?" They said yes, it includes them. So I chose 2 notebooks, paid for one, and got the second one free. That day, I learned a useful phrase, "Buy one, get one free." It's simple, but it's something you can use when shopping.
Before going to bed, one of the most useful habits is to spend 5 minutes reviewing new words or sentences you learned during the day. Take a small notebook or your phone and write, "Today I learned," "How are you today?" "Can I help you?" "Buy one, get one free." Then close your eyes and repeat them slowly. This keeps the words fresh in your memory and prepares your brain for better learning tomorrow. The key idea here is that English learning does not always need a classroom or a teacher in front of you. It is about making small, smart choices during your normal day. The more you listen, speak, and think in English in these small moments, the more confident and natural you will become. Even if you make mistakes, do not worry. Each mistake is a step forward. When you think about how you organize your home, it often reflects how you manage your time and your mind. For example, I once visited a friend who kept everything in small boxes with labels. At first, I found it a bit extreme, but then I saw how easily he found what he needed. He did not waste time looking for things. I tried this at home with my kitchen items. I put my spices, tea, and snacks in separate containers with names. Now, when I cook, I save a lot of time.
This small change made my mornings less stressful because I knew exactly where everything was. Let me tell you another simple change I made that helped me feel more in control of my day. I started preparing my clothes for the next day before I went to bed. It took me just 5 minutes, but in the morning, I did not stand in front of my wardrobe thinking, "What should I wear?" I felt calmer and started my day earlier. Sometimes little steps like this make a big difference in your daily life. Speaking of mornings, have you noticed how much your day depends on how your morning goes? I certainly have. When I wake up and check my phone first thing, I often feel rushed. Messages, news, and notifications crowd my mind, and I feel behind before I even start my work. But when I wake up, drink a glass of water, and stretch my body for just 5 minutes, the whole day feels different. I feel calmer and more ready. One time, I even added a short walk outside. Just 10 minutes, breathing in fresh air, hearing the birds, and that small bit of movement gave me more energy for hours. Isn't it interesting how these little changes can shape the rest of our day? Another daily thing that affects us is how we eat. I used to skip breakfast because I thought I didn't have time, but skipping breakfast made me tired and less focused by mid-morning. Now I eat something small, even just a banana or a slice of bread with peanut butter. It makes a difference. One of my friends prefers a fruit smoothie with milk, which is also a fast option. Eating regularly isn't only about food, it's about keeping your energy stable. And sometimes managing your energy means saying no. I remember one week when I agreed to help 3 different friends with their projects, finish my work deadlines, and also attend a family event. By Friday, I was completely exhausted. I didn't enjoy any of them fully. After that, I learned to say yes only when I truly had the time. If I knew I couldn't give my full attention, I explained honestly. And you know what? Most people understood. It's better to do fewer things with full presence than to do many things with no energy. Let me share another simple habit. Once, I wrote down my tasks for the week on a plain sheet of paper. Not a fancy planner, just a simple list divided by days. I wrote down the most important thing I needed to do each day. At first, I thought it wouldn't change much, but it did. It gave me a picture of my week. When someone asked for my time, I looked at my paper and could see if I really had space. That small act of writing made it easier to say yes or no more clearly. Do you also notice how your environment affects your focus? When my desk is messy, my mind jumps from one thought to another. But when I take just 5 minutes to clear it before I start, my focus becomes stronger. One time, I tried working in a cafe. It was noisy, but because I only had my laptop and a cup of coffee, I felt very focused. Sometimes a change of place or simply a cleaner space is exactly what we need. Another thing that helps me a lot is taking small breaks. I used to sit for hours trying to finish everything at once, but my brain got tired and I made mistakes. Now, every hour or two, I stand up, drink some water, and stretch. It doesn't take long, but it feels like I press a reset button for my mind. Once, during a busy afternoon, I even took a 5-minute walk around the block. And when I came back, the problem I was stuck on suddenly felt easier. And speaking of breaks, many people think relaxing means doing nothing or watching a screen for hours.
But true rest often comes from quiet moments or light movement. I once tried sitting by the window with a cup of tea, no phone, just watching the sky for 10 minutes. At first, it felt strange, but after a few days, I started to enjoy it. My thoughts became clearer. It reminded me that we don't always need more noise or activity to feel better. Finally, there's one small habit that connects all of these ideas: reflection. At the end of the day, before going to sleep, I ask myself, what went well today? What can I do better tomorrow? I don't write a long diary, just 1 or 2 sentences in my mind. It helps me close the day and start fresh the next morning. One evening, I realized I had spent too much time on unimportant messages, so I decided to limit them the next day. These small reflections guide real improvement. Now, let's shift into our focus for today: daily communication in English. We'll look at small, practical situations and how you can handle them smoothly with simple, natural sentences. Imagine you're at the train station. You're waiting for your train, but it gets delayed. An announcement says the train will be 30 minutes late. People around you are frustrated. Someone turns to you and asks, "Do you know why the train is late?" What can you say? A clear, simple answer is, "I heard there is some maintenance on the tracks. They said it will be 30 minutes late." Notice how this gives useful information without difficult words. It's natural and helpful.
Now, a different situation: you are in a shop and you want to return an item because it's broken. Many learners find this stressful because they don't know the right words. Start politely. "Hello, I bought this yesterday, but it isn't working properly. Could I return it or exchange it?" That's simple, clear, and polite. Shop workers don't expect perfect English, they just appreciate polite communication. Another situation: at the doctor's office. Some people say only, "I am sick," but that's not enough information. A better way is, "I've had a headache for 3 days and I feel very tired." That short detail helps the doctor understand quickly. Small details make your English more effective. Let me tell you a story from last month. I was in a small restaurant with food from many countries. The waiter asked me, "How was your meal?" I wanted to give feedback politely, so I said, "The food was very tasty, but it was a little too salty for me." The waiter smiled and thanked me. This is a good structure. First something positive, then a small criticism politely. And, of course, in daily life, we often need to ask for help. Some learners feel shy, but most people are kind if you ask simply. For example, "Excuse me, could you tell me how to get to the post office?" Or, "Can you show me the way to the bus stop?" Short, polite questions make people more willing to help. Now let's talk about social events. Imagine you're invited to dinner with new people. Small talk matters. Many learners feel nervous. Here's a simple trick. Ask about what you see around you. If you notice a painting, say, "This painting is beautiful. Do you know who made it?" Or if someone has a new phone, "Is that a new phone? How do you like it?" People enjoy sharing about simple things. It's an easy way to start conversation. Phone calls can also be tricky. You can't see the person, and sometimes the line isn't clear. Start with a polite greeting. "Hello, this is Alex. May I speak with Mr. Smith, please?" And if you don't understand something, don't panic. Just say, "Sorry, could you repeat that slowly?"
That shows you're trying, and people will usually be patient. Now let's think about giving directions. If someone asks, "Where is the nearest supermarket?" you can say, "Go straight for 2 blocks, then turn left. It's next to the bank." Short, clear sentences are best. Don't worry about using complicated words like adjacent or intersection. Keep it simple. I also remember when I ordered something online and it arrived late. I had to write an email to the company. Many learners feel nervous about this, but here's a good structure. Start with a greeting, explain the problem, ask for a solution, end politely. For example, "Dear customer service, I ordered a book on July 2nd, but it has not arrived yet. Could you please let me know when it will be delivered? Thank you for your help. Best regards, Alex." See? It's polite, clear, and professional. And of course, in daily English, we actually include greetings. Many learners always say, "I'm fine," when someone asks, "How are you?" But there are many other natural answers. You can say, "I'm doing well, thank you." Or, "I'm a little tired, but everything is okay." Small changes like this make your English sound much more natural. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you sometimes find it difficult to say no politely? This is something many learners struggle with. Imagine someone invites you to an event, but you cannot go. Instead of just saying no, you can try something softer and friendlier. For example, "Thank you so much for the invitation, but I'm busy that day. Maybe another time." See how that works? You're not simply refusing. You're showing respect and keeping the relationship warm. And speaking of keeping conversations warm, let's not forget about compliments. Compliments are such a simple but powerful way to make people happy and to start a friendly conversation. For example, "I like your bag. It looks very nice." Or, "You did a great job in the meeting." The secret is to be sincere and keep it simple. Now, let's think about another everyday challenge. Sometimes you hear a word you don't know. Many learners feel shy in this situation, but you don't need to. You can politely ask, "Sorry, what does that word mean?" Or, "Could you explain that?" Most people don't mind explaining. In fact, they appreciate your curiosity. And remember, this is how you learn. Daily life is full of these small chances to practice English. At the market, on the bus, at work, at school, even when you're buying coffee. The more you use these small, polite phrases, the more confident you will become. So let's keep going together and explore more real-life situations where you can practice English every day. Imagine you are at a post office. You need to send a package to your friend. You go to the counter and say, "Hello, I would like to send this package to London. How much will it cost?" The clerk tells you the price and asks about delivery time. You can reply, "I want it to arrive within 5 days. Is that possible?" At the end, you pay and say, "Thank you very much. Have a nice day." It's short, polite, and clear. Now picture yourself at a pharmacy. You are not feeling well and you need medicine. You can say, "Hello, I have a headache. Can you recommend something for me?" The pharmacist may ask, "Do you have any allergies?" Or, "Are you taking other medicines?" You answer politely, "No, I have no allergies. I am not taking any other medicines." And when they give advice, you say, "Thank you. I will follow your instructions." See how simple and effective that is? Next, let's step into a bank. Imagine you want to deposit money into your account. You greet the teller politely. Good morning. I would like to deposit $500 into my account. Can you help me? The teller asks for your card or account number, and you follow their instructions. At the end, you always close with, "Thank you for your help." Those polite words, please and thank you, always make a good impression. What about public transport? Suppose you're taking a bus or a taxi. You can practice simple questions like, "Excuse me, does this bus go to Central Station?" Or, "How much will it cost to go to the airport?" And if you're giving instructions, you can say, "I need to go to the city center. Could you take me there?" These short sentences are not complicated, but they are very powerful in daily life. Now let's imagine going into a café. You want to order something. You can say, "Hello, can I have a cup of coffee, please?" Or, "Could I get a sandwich as well?" When your order arrives, don't forget, "Thank you very much." And if something is wrong, stay polite. "Excuse me, this is not what I ordered. Could I exchange it?" Polite but clear. That's the secret to smooth communication.
Next, imagine visiting a friend's home. Maybe you want to ask about the house rules. You can say, "May I take off my shoes here?" Or, "Is it okay if I use the bathroom?" When your friend offers you something to eat or drink, you can reply, "Thank you, that is very kind." Or, "Yes, please, that would be great." Let's move to another situation, attending a meeting or class. If you don't understand something, don't be silent. You can say, "Could you please repeat that?" Or, "I'm not sure I understand. Could you explain it again?" It's better to ask politely than to stay confused. Let's start with a simple situation. Imagine you meet a colleague at work. You can begin with friendly questions like, "How was your weekend?" Or, "Did you enjoy the holiday?" When your colleague replies, you can continue naturally. "That sounds great. What did you do?" It's short, simple, and it helps you build good connections. Now picture yourself in a coffee shop. You walk to the counter and say, "Hello, may I have a cappuccino, please?" And if you'd like to stay and work, you can ask, "Do you have free Wi-Fi here?" Very useful, very polite. Sometimes you need to make an appointment, for example, at the hair salon. On the phone, you can say, "Hello, I would like to make an appointment for a haircut tomorrow at 3 p.m., please." If that time is not available, you can ask, "Do you have any other time available?" See? Clear and polite sentences make the conversation smooth. When you visit a friend's home, it's always nice to ask politely, "May I take off my shoes?" Or, "Is it okay if I use your bathroom?" And when your friend offers your food or tea, you can respond warmly, "Thank you, that looks very nice." Or, "Yes, please, I would love some tea." Now let's step outside. Imagine you're exercising in the park. You see another jogger and you say, "Good morning, how are you today?" Or, "Do you jog here every morning?" Simple greetings like this make interactions friendly and natural. And here's another useful situation, online shopping. When writing a message to the seller, you can say, "Hello, I would like to order this shirt in size medium. Could you confirm if it is available?" Or, "Please deliver it by Friday if possible." Short, polite messages improve both your vocabulary and your confidence in writing. Now imagine you are at the airport. At the check-in counter, you say, "Hello, I have a ticket for flight 452 to New York. Could you help me check in, please?" The staff may ask for your passport or luggage. You can reply, "Here is my passport and I have one suitcase." At a hotel, you greet the receptionist politely. Good afternoon. I have a reservation under the name Natasha. Could you check me in, please? And if you need something extra, you can ask, is there a gym or swimming pool in the hotel? Or, could I get a wake-up call at 6 a.m. tomorrow? Traveling often means asking for directions. On the street, you can say, excuse me, could you tell me where the nearest pharmacy is? Or, how far is the city center from here? If the answer is long or fast, don't be shy to say, could you repeat that slowly, please? Let's take a taxi together. You greet the driver. Hello, can you take me to the train station, please? Then you can ask, how much will it cost approximately? Or give a little instruction. Please go by the main road. It is faster. At a restaurant, you can begin with, hello, could I have a table for two, please? When ordering, I would like grilled chicken with a side of vegetables. And at the end, always close with kindness. The food was delicious. Thank you very much. Now let's step into a bank. You might say, good morning. I would like to withdraw $300 from my account. If there is a problem, you can explain, I cannot find my card. Could you help me with a temporary solution? At the supermarket, short questions help a lot. You can ask, excuse me, where can I find rice? Or, do you have fresh vegetables today? At the checkout, you say, could I pay by card, please? Or, do you accept cash? At the pharmacy, you might say, hello, I have a cough. Could you recommend something? If the pharmacist asks questions, you answer clearly. I am 25 years old, and I have had this cough for 3 days. At the post office, you can ask, hello, I would like to send this package to London. How much will it cost? And if you want faster delivery, you can ask, could it arrive within 3 days? Let's imagine the first situation. You are at a small cafe ready to order breakfast. You can say, hello, could I get a cup of tea and a sandwich, please? If you have a special request, you can add, could you make it without onions? And when your food is served, you can smile and say, thank you, it looks very nice. Polite and clear words like these help you communicate effectively in restaurants. Now picture yourself at a post office. You want to send a letter. You can walk up to the counter and say, hello, I want to send this letter to Canada. How much does it cost? If you'd like faster delivery, you can ask, could it arrive within 5 days? And after the process is finished, you can politely say, thank you very much for your help. Do you notice the pattern? Simple questions and polite thanks make everyday tasks much easier. Sometimes you may find yourself in a hospital or clinic. You can say, hello, I need to see a doctor. Could you tell me where the clinic is? Or, do I need to register first? If the staff explains something to you, you can respond with, thank you, that helps a lot. Short, clear sentences are especially helpful in medical settings because they reduce confusion. Let's move on to the supermarket. You are shopping and want to find specific items. You can ask, excuse me, where can I find the eggs? Or, do you have fresh tomatoes today? At the checkout counter, you might say, could I pay with a card, please? Or, do you accept cash? These short and polite questions make your shopping experience smoother and more comfortable. Now think about visiting a gym for the first time. You can ask, hello, do you have personal training sessions? Or, could I try one class before I join? And if you like the class, you can always end with, thank you, it was very helpful. These short, polite sentences help you get the information you need and also connect with people more easily. What about visiting a library?
That's another very common situation. You can say, "Hello, I want to borrow this book, please." If you're searching for something specific, you can ask, "Do you have books about photography?" or "Where can I find novels for beginners?" Librarians are usually very happy to help, and practicing these kinds of polite questions improve both your English skills and your confidence. Now let's think about visiting a bank. You may need to deposit money. You can say, "Good morning. I would like to deposit $200 into my account." If you're not sure about the process, you can ask, "Is there a fee for this transaction?" Or, "Can I get a receipt, please?" See how simple and professional these sentences sound? They help staff understand you right away. Another daily activity is using public transportation. You can ask, "Does this bus go to the train station?" Or, "How long will it take to reach the airport?" And if the driver explains something, you can repeat to confirm. "So, I need to get off at the third stop, right?" These short confirmation sentences prevent mistakes while you travel. Now let's continue with a clothing store. You can walk in and say, "Hello, I like this shirt. Could I try it on?" Or, "Do you have this in a different color?" And when the assistant helps you, you can say warmly, "Thank you very much. That is very kind." Practicing polite requests like these will help you in all shopping situations. Now imagine you're visiting a friend's house. You might ask, "May I take off my shoes here?" Or, "Could I get a glass of water, please?" If your friend offers snacks, you can reply, "Thank you, that looks delicious." Or, "Yes, please, I would love some tea." Short, friendly, polite sentences make social interactions feel natural and comfortable. Now let's practice one more common situation, ordering food online. You can write a message such as, "Hello, I would like to order this pizza with extra cheese. Could you deliver it by 7 p.m., please?" If there's a delay, you can politely ask, "Hello, my order has not arrived yet. Could you check it, please?" These short written requests not only improve your writing, but also strengthen your spoken English because you're practicing the same polite patterns. Let's begin with a common travel situation. Sometimes you are at a bus or train station. You may need to ask a question like, "Excuse me, what time does the next train to Boston leave?" Or you can check by saying, "Is this the platform for train 452?" If the staff gives you a long answer that's hard to follow, don't worry. You can politely say, "Could you repeat that slowly, please?" Clear and polite sentences like these make travel so much easier. Now let's imagine you are shopping at a bookstore. You walk in and ask, "Hello, do you have novels by this author?" Or maybe you'd like a recommendation. So you say, "Could you recommend a book for beginners in English?" After the staff helps you, it's always good to respond with, "Thank you very much. That is very helpful." Short and polite questions like these improve your shopping experience and make the conversation smooth. Another situation is talking to a neighbor. You can greet them with a simple, "Good morning, how are you today?"
Or, "It is a nice day today, isn't it?" These small greetings are powerful. They help you practice English naturally and, at the same time, create friendly connections. Sometimes you need to ask about public services. For example, at the City Hall, you might say, "Hello, I need to renew my ID. Could you tell me the process?" Or you can ask, "What documents do I need to bring?" Short, polite questions like these help you get the right information quickly and clearly. Now, picture yourself at a grocery store. You may need advice, so you ask, "Excuse me, which apples are best for pies?" Or, "Do you have fresh bread today?" When you reach the counter, you can say, "Could I pay by card?" Or, "Please give me a bag, thank you." These polite and clear sentences make shopping simple and stress-free. Let's think about visiting a clinic, maybe with your child. You can explain, "Hello, my child has a cough. Could you recommend safe medicine?" The nurse may ask about age and symptoms. You can reply, "My child is 6 years old and has had this cough for 2 days." Notice how short, clear sentences are very practical in medical situations. They help the nurse understand quickly and give the right advice. Another daily situation is public transportation in the city. You might ask, "Does this bus go to the main market?" Or, "How many stops until the airport?" If you're not sure, you can confirm, "So, I get off at the 5th stop, right?" Again, clear sentences make commuting easier and reduce stress. Now, picture yourself ordering at a cafe. You can say, "Hello, I would like a cappuccino and a muffin, please." If you prefer something different, you can ask, "Could you make the coffee less sweet?" And when your order arrives, don't forget to say, "Thank you very much. It looks delicious." These small, polite sentences make your daily experiences smooth and enjoyable. Another everyday situation is small talk at work. You can start with, "How was your weekend?" Or, "Did you enjoy the holiday?" When your colleague replies, you can show interest by saying, "That sounds nice. What did you do?" Short conversations like these may seem small, but they improve your confidence and fluency in English over time. Now, let's move to a clothing shop. You may want to check for different sizes or colors. You can ask, "Excuse me, do you have this shirt in blue?" Or, "Could I try this jacket in size large, please?" When the assistant helps you, you can reply, "Thank you very much. That is very helpful." Again, simple, polite sentences build your confidence in daily shopping interactions. Now, imagine you're at a cafe and you notice someone reading a book you like. This is a nice chance to practice casual English. You could say, "Hello, is that book interesting? I've been looking for a new read." They might answer, and you can continue with, "Where did you get it? I would like to buy it too." Short, friendly conversations like this are a natural way to practice English and connect with people. Sometimes you need to ask about public services. If you need to learn something at the bank, you might say, "Good morning. I would like to open a new savings account, please." If the officer asks for documents, you can reply, "Here is my ID. Do you need anything else?" Short and clear phrases make banking easier and less stressful. Now, picture yourself at the post office. You want to send a package, so you ask, "Hello, how much will it cost to send this package?" If you want faster delivery, you can say, "Could it arrive in 2 days?" And at the end, always thank the clerk by saying, "Thank you very much for your help." At a library, you can say, "Hello, I would like to borrow these books, please." Or ask, "Do you have books about history?" Short, clear questions help librarians give you the right guidance. At a gym, you might ask,
Hello, do you have yoga classes for beginners? Or could I try one session before joining? Again, polite and short sentences like these are very useful. Ordering food online is another common situation. You might write, "Hello, I would like to order a pizza with extra cheese. Could you deliver it by 7 p.m., please?" If there is a delay, you can follow up with, "Hello, my order has not arrived yet. Could you check it, please?" Writing short, polite messages helps improve your English writing as well. When you visit a friend's home, you can politely ask, "May I take off my shoes?" Or, "Could I have a glass of water, please?" If your friend offers food or tea, you can say, "Thank you, that looks delicious." These small sentences are very useful in social interactions. And finally, let's return once more to shopping. At a supermarket, you can ask, "Excuse me, where can I find the milk?" Or, "Do you have fresh bread today?" At the checkout, you can say, "Do you accept cards?" Or, "Could I have a receipt, please?" Short and polite questions make the entire shopping experience easier. So, as you can see, simple English sentences can help you everywhere when traveling, shopping, at work, with friends, or even at the doctor's office. The key is this: keep your questions short, polite, and clear. That way, people will understand you more easily and you will feel more confident every day. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of English Without Limit. We've practiced so many real-life situations together, from asking about trains at the station, to shopping in bookstores and supermarkets, to ordering in cafes, visiting a clinic, greeting neighbors, and even sending a package at the post office. Each example shows you that short, polite, and clear English sentences can make your daily life easier, smoother, and more confident. Remember, the goal is not to use complicated words, but to communicate clearly and kindly. A simple sentence like, "Excuse me, could you help me, please?" can open doors, build connections, and make people happy to support you. I encourage you to take 1 or 2 sentences from today's episode and practice them this week in your daily life. Use them at the store, at work, with neighbors, or even when you order coffee. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope this lesson has been useful and enjoyable. If you liked this episode, please share it with a friend who is also learning English. And don't forget to follow English Without Limit so you never miss a new practice session. This is Julia, your host, wishing you confidence, positivity, and success in every English conversation you have. Take care, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next episode.